Arkansas.
With Arkansas Quilt Trail,
Quilt.
Baxter County.
Yep, I got, and there's the Baxter County Quilt. So I've seen a lot of it. I drive around quite a bit with the Corps of Engineers, and I see a lot of those quilt block, people's houses and old barns and stuff, so.
Someone just commented recently on Facebook that they saw those barn blankets. I wonder what was going on.
Here's Virginia for you.
That's standard, yeah. And thank you to the Historical Society for inviting us to come back. We were actually here 5 years ago, and that's when I started with the Baxter County Quilt Trail.
Close to the microphone, please.
I think I'll keep taking. There you go. Can I take it off? Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yes. But at that time, I think I had 2 quilt blocks, and they were already in place like a couple of years before I started, because the lady actually had them up. But Renee came and talked to you at that time. She's here with us tonight too, and she's going to help you with the program and tell you a little bit about what else happened since that time, as far as statewide. I have a presentation on the Baxter County Quilt Trail. But you know, we're talking about the anniversary, the 150-year anniversary of Baxter County. There's been a lot of good anniversaries, big anniversaries this year, and one I saw just the other day that KTLO is celebrating 70 years, which is fantastic. The Quilt Guild is celebrating 40 years, and we have our president of the Quilt Guild, Rosita, back here, which I know, that's okay. And the interesting thing about it, I think, is that when they started 40 years ago, they actually just had the quilt show a week before last here at the fairgrounds, a huge quilt show. It was wonderful. But 40 years ago, they had the first quilt show at the Casey House, if you can imagine. And I don't know if there's any pictures of that. Do you have any of the Historical Society?
Not aware of any.
I bet the Quilt Guild can come up with something. I figured I could too. So. And also, Jack and I celebrated 60-year anniversary this year. So. That's a long time to put up with. Yeah, it is a long time to put up with me, for sure. And I understand we had a raffle drawing of the quilt, right?
The winner was Bill Willett.
Uh-huh.
Some of y'all may know him. And he said he was going to be here tonight, so something may have came up, but he was proud to have it, and he said he was going to put it on the fence.
He already has it on the fence.
Does he?
Yes,
Okay,
he
perfect.
does.
Perfect.
It's
It's
on,
I forgot what he said it was at.
it's right there on the corner of Old Military
In
and
201?
201
Yeah.
on the fence,
Right
and
on
it
the
looks
corner.
like, I have a picture, I'll show you.
Good.
I took a
Good.
picture yesterday, so we'll get to see that.
He seemed excited about getting
Yeah.
it.
I can't believe he got it done that quick, but he evidently knew where he would put it.
He knew where he
wanted
wanted it.
it.
So I was happy that he
He
was
came
happy
right
to
away
have
and
it.
picked it up when she called us.
Yeah. Well, Renee, if you want to, I'll let you come up and talk about the Arkansas state part of it, and then after that, I'll elaborate a little bit more on Baxter County, so.
Yeah, Virginia is my memory. She reminded me we were here 5 years ago. And when I came at that time, I think we had 4 trails in the entire state of Arkansas. We began at the trails in Stone County. And by the way, Stone County turned 150 years old this year too. I'm a member of the Stone County Historical Society, so we've been sesquicentennially, you know that word, that's hard to say. But we've been celebrating there as well. And so it's a real big deal. I'm glad to hear all that you did here to celebrate your county's history. That's very important.
What's your last name?
Carr, C-A-R-R. So when we were here 5 years ago, as I said, there were only 4 trails in the state. That was Stone County, Van Buren County, Searcy County, and Perry County. And Virginia kicked off this trail, and Baxter County has done a wonderful job with it. And right now on the website, I just pulled it up and now I forgot, what did it say, Sue? Was it 30? How many on the website?
It's a 39.
It was 39, but she's gonna tell you about some more, okay? I don't wanna steal her thunder though. But what I did want to tell you is that, you know, we started, that those really small beginnings, but you gotta start somewhere, right? And it has just spread all over the state. So right now, there are 21 official county quilt trails, and they're all over the state. We have some in South Arkansas, Western Arkansas, some under development in East Arkansas, but 21 are official, meaning that they have at least 12 blocks and have submitted stories and an owner agreement so that we can put them on a web page of ArkansasQuiltTrails.com. What Virginia and I find, and I think most other coordinators will verify this, that sometimes getting the story that goes with the quilt block is harder than getting the quilt block. Now, folks, every one of you here, Historical Society, you know stories. So I would encourage you to be a contributor. Help Virginia out on collecting stories that might go with these quilt blocks, because we want to share the history of these communities in Baxter County, the historical places, the families, just, there needs to be a source for that. As I said, that is the challenge a lot of times, is for the quilt owner to come up with a story. So remember that you could provide that role and help come up with the stories to go with it. I think that that's what is unique about Arkansas Quilt Trails. There are quilt trails all over the country. It began in Ohio several years ago. The lady, have you have her book here even?
No.
She came to Mountain Home a few years ago. Yes.
She actually did a workshop for the quilt club.
Yeah, she did a workshop, but she chronicles the beginning of it and a lot about trails. But I think what is unique about ours is I don't think all the others do a story with every quilt block. And I think that's so critical, that because I see it as not only a beautification project, a tourism project, but also historical preservation. When we put those stories with the blocks, the stories are on the website. That's where you find them. And so please think about stories that need to be preserved in this
Could
county.
you give an example of a story?
Well, yes, I mean, I could think of examples, but you've just talked about several historical structures, and that you maintain 3, your historical society maintains 3 different. So, even if there's not a block at those particular locations, it'd be great if
There will be.
There will be.
So there are actually going to be.
Okay, so you could help her come up with the story about where did that, who built it, or if they were moved there, where did they come from? The history of that building, what happens in that building. A part of that could be what your organization is about, when you meet, where you meet, things like that. So,
It's not necessarily the story of a block, but the story of the building that's on
excellent.
the block.
Yes, we have some where it'll be largely the story of the quilt pattern, but by and large, I feel like it's more about the community or the family.
history.
Or the building that's on.
So we want to know, why you selected the pattern, probably, or maybe what the pattern is. But a lot of times, it's going to be the history of that particular area or family. So yeah, we would love to know what you'd like preserved in that type of thing. So let me just right now we have 570 blocks across Arkansas on official trails. Now there's more than that, but until we get them on the website, because they've got 12 or more in a county to have their own trail, we're not counting those. So we have Boone County coming up. I think by the first week of November, they will have an official trail with 20 blocks. That takes us to 590. And so I'm looking for Baxter County to push us over 600 blocks. And you'll do it, right? Okay. So that's where we are now, growing, and really proud of the work that's happened here in Baxter County and Virginia's work and everyone else that's helped her.
Definitely. And, you know, the one thing that I enjoy the most is going out to meet the people when they decide to put a block on the trail. We actually, as a coordinator, we go out to check the address for one thing on the GPS, to be sure that the address that we have is correct, that is placed on the website. But also those stories, I mean, when they write their stories, that means as much to me as the block does, you know, and that is important, very important. So I wanted to introduce one other person. The Marion County coordinator is here, brand new. She's going to be developing the Marion County Trail, Sue Studner, right? Yes, glad to have you here. Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and start showing you some pictures. I wish I could read all the stories about them as we go along, but I know we don't have time for that, so. We are, as Renee said, trail number 5. So most of the blocks, well, all of the blocks will start with number 5 in the front of it. Now, they're not necessarily in order as far as the numbers, and there's a reason for that. So these are the very first ones. I told you that one lady had some up that had been up for several years. This is at Julie Perry's residence on West Road. If any of you drive that road very much, you've probably seen these. The one on the right, she says that's always used as a directional point for people. You know, if they're given directions, they say, watch for the quilt block and go 2 more miles or whatever and turn right. And that's been the case for a long time. She is a very active quilter and also quilts for the Quilts of Valor locally. These, you'd probably recognize the people just by the Razorback. Glenn and Sandy Preby, this is at their residence, both of these. And this is at the Remember Me Quilt Shop. They have moved to a different location now, so these were taken off of the other building and put on this one. Julie Perry, who the first 2 that I showed you, she painted those that are up on the building. I painted the little ones on the side there representing 4 seasons. And this one on the left there, the first one is the fairgrounds. Margaret Stafford painted that. You probably know Margaret, I'm not sure. And then the next one is the Almighty Cross on Highway 126 North. We did have 3 in a row there, and one of the ladies moved and actually took her quilt block with her when she moved, so we had to take that one off. But that one, the Almighty Cross, is Sandy Yates. 4 Flying Fish, I'm gonna have to refer to my notes just a little bit. Okay, that is Cindy Johnson, and that was kind of interesting. The property there was originally a catfish farm in the 1990s. In the early 2000s, Dave and Emily Whitlock, which probably y'all know or have heard of them, stocked the pond and then had a fly fishing school there for quite a while. The one on the left is at my daughter's house, Karen's house in Cotter. And it's called Aunt Dee's Star because that is in honor of my sister Dolores, who actually started me quilting back 20 years ago probably. And her daughter, Christy, was the one that got me started painting quilt blocks. The double wedding ring, I told you I wasn't going to read stories, but I do want to read this one because this is an unusual block in the way that it was constructed. It's located at the home of Pam Wise. Actually, she has passed away since then, but it's also known as Wise Acres. It's right on, as you go down towards Buffalo City on the right. Do any of you know where the Quiet People, are you familiar with that? It's a group of stick figures that are on the left side of the road. And this lady has dressed them in all different colorful costumes. Have you seen it, Jennifer?
I've heard of it.
It's,
but I
yeah,
haven't seen
it's
it.
quite a story, and I wish I knew
Yeah.
the whole story to tell you, but it's very interesting, and I'm assuming it's still up, I don't know. But anyway, this block is directly across the highway from that. But it's a 6x6 block, which is the biggest one that we have on the quilt trail. It was designed and constructed by Pam's son, Jonathan, by cutting out 72 different tiles of 8 different shapes. The size and shape of the tiles were generated on a computer program after entering the data from the quilt block. They were individually cut out of 1/4 inch Luan and painted according to layout. Then the fabric patterns were cut from vinyl and applied to the tiles, which were then arranged on the 6x6 board and attached with construction adhesive, giving the illusion of depth and dimension. Jonathan said, the idea came to me as I was first approached as a potential participant in the Arkansas Quilt Trail project. My mom and I were proud to hear that our block was accepted into the original 12 needed to proceed in Baxter County. And then Pam shared this at that time. My mama quilted when she was a very young wife and mother living on a farm in eastern Arkansas. Her favorite pattern was the double wedding ring. I prefer the hills to the flatlands, but I've always loved this block, and my sisters feel the same way. It's always been the quilt for our family. And I thought that was interesting how that was made. You know, it is painted, but it was made out of tiles, you know, different. The next one is Delectable Stars. That is at the home of Greg Todd. Christy Todd was a good friend of mine, and we were acquainted some time ago. We worked at the bank together, actually. And when she heard that we were doing a quilt trail, she came to me. She already had her pattern picked out. She wanted to do it. She got started on it, but she also had cancer, so she was in and out of the hospital quite often and ended up passing away before it was finished. But Greg, her husband, completed it for her. And he did quite a bit of the work, actually, to finish it. Crowns and Cross, that's over at Midway, just past the intersection when you turn left towards Lakeview. That's Ferrugia, Jolene Ferrugia, I hope I'm saying that right. The house that Bluth built, do you recognize that building? That is what was Gilbert Realty, it's now Doty Realty. And when Joan signed up with the Quilt Trail for that, the story, she said that they had, when they bought that back in, right now, 70s, I'm not sure, that they had no idea that it had actually belonged to the Gilbert family. Bluth Gilbert was the one that had built that way back in the 40s. One of the neighbors came to them and told them that. So that's the reason that she named it the house that Bluth built. The Seminole Patchwork is down at North Fork. That's at the North Fork Adventure Supply. If you want to go paddling, floating, kayaking, bicycle riding, whatever, he can fix you up there. And the Firefighters Block, that's out at the Beaufort Fire Department, out off of 201 South. The next one, When Pigs Fly, that is again at that Midway location, the same couple that has that. And these are all over at Big Flat at the City Hall. These blocks were already in place for a while. When she found out, the mayor found out that we had a quilt trail in Baxter County, they wanted to participate also. And the Autumn Star, that's another one that's on 126 North. That is Gerald Gage. I think you might know him. He's involved with the airport. I'm not sure exactly what his title is. And some of the rules have changed since we first started 5 years ago. At that time, we weren't allowed to put them on fences, where they had to be on buildings. And he had contacted me after seeing the article in the Baxter Bulletin and wanting to know if he could put one on a fence. And I said, I'm sorry, we can't, you know. Then shortly after that, we did make the decision that we would let people put them wherever they wanted, as long as they could be seen and were maintained and So I contacted him and he immediately ordered this quilt block and put it up. The one next to it, I Love America, that is of Elizabeth, which is almost to the Fulton County line. That's probably the one farthest away from Mountain Home. The couple, Zeke and Margaret Pearson did that one, and they contacted me and said that they had one, and would it be okay to do one that far away? And I said, sure, you're in Baxter County, that's perfect, you know. The Rusty Rooster, that is actually at the Rusty Rooster Flea Market, and this one is on the inside of the building in the window. When you go in the front door, I think it's on the left side now. Sandy's Smile, that was Keith and Sandy Sharp. She said, and sometimes you talk about coming up with stories, sometimes coming up with names is hard too. And she could not decide what to name it, but she said that when she saw these quilt blocks, it made her smile. So she decided that she wanted to make one, and so she would call it Sandy's Smile, which makes sense, right? Ribbon Star, that is what was the Plaza Beauty Shop there next to Town and Country across the street. It's actually, the building has been bought by someone else, and I think that one is probably going to be removed because they're going to remodel the building. And I'm trying to contact the previous owner so that we can at least preserve that quilt block and move it somewhere else. We'll see what happens to that. A Salute to Veterans is at the Bob Davis Veterans Center. That's one that I painted and donated to them for their center. And there's the one at the Cornett House. And I don't know if you're familiar about the blue line representing law enforcement officers. That's what that represents. In honor of Jack's long time in law enforcement and the people that he worked with. But also, we want to show our appreciation for the present law enforcement community, you know, and everyone that's involved in that. So, Sharon's Surprise, this was one that we did a little class just among friends, and she started out with the pattern, and I think it changed 4 or 5 times before she finished, and that's why she called it Sharon's Surprise. She couldn't think of anything else by that time. One thing too that changed, when we first started out, we were using plywood to paint on. Now most of us are using aluminum composite, which we buy from the sign company for several reasons. And I was hoping, I had a friend that was going to bring her quilt block tonight. That's why I had the easel set up so that I could show you what that was, but for some reason she's not here. But this one was one of the first ones that I had seen painted on that. 2 of the ladies that came to the class brought that. And I'd heard of it, you know, even using it, but I could see the difference in how lightweight it was to work with, and it really is an improvement. Plus it holds up better in the weather too. These are at the home of Mary Lou Kanasiak and her daughter Jeanette. And these were painted by Jana Fulton, who used to live here. She was actually going to be the Marion County Quilt Coordinator, and she had to move back to Texas, so that she has done several quilt blocks for us. Jeanette, the daughter, is a dog sitter, and I probably shouldn't say this because I don't want everybody to know that she does that. She's a wonderful dog sitter. We've used her and plan to use her again, but it's a really neat place, and they have both of those on their house. And the Cardinal, you know where that is. That's at the Historical Society building, or office building. And I had a hard time getting a good picture because of the reflection on the window, but I'll try to take it on another day when it's not quite so sunny. Maybe it'll work out better. So. But Lisa painted that, Lisa Coleman. When we were talking about the other buildings, the historical buildings, Lisa has also painted one that will go up at the Casey House. Is it about ready to go up, Lisa? Good.
It's there.
Okay.
It's gotta wait till all the inflatables come down now, cause there's no room for it. But
Right, okay.
it's in the front, if you come to the Casey house for trick or treat, it's there by the bed, so you can actually see it. It's inside the house right now.
And then there will be another one out at the Buford Community Center. So, all three of those are gonna have good
The
stories.
Buford Schoolhouse Museum.
Museum, okay. The Ohio Star, that is Mary Schul, and she lives in a condominium there on Superior Way. And she had taken a class out at the Rendezvous Center and decided that she wanted to put it on the quilt trail. I'm glad she did. That's a very popular pattern. And this is at the home of Charlotte Allen on Conway Street. And when I went to visit with them, they had moved here not too long ago and was traveling back and forth. I believe it was to Memphis for medical appointments and so forth. And they were always so glad to get home. She couldn't think of a name for her block. She had bought the block from someone else, somewhere else, and didn't know what the name of it was. I didn't know the name either. Maybe the quilters here would know. I don't recognize it at all. But I said, well, let's go outside and look at it again. And so we went outside, and I said, you know, to me it just says welcome. She said, that's it, welcome home. She said, that's what I think of every time I come home. So that's what she named it. And this is Angel. See if I can pronounce her name. Bedecker, I think, is the way it's pronounced. And she's the one that's supposed to bring one here tonight. Jana Fulton also painted this, and it's on Katie Baker Road. It's on the barn.
It flipped to the end of your program.
You're at 36.
You can just right click and try to back up. There you go.
Well, I'm missing the best part if I don't get this.
Go to the other side, there might be an arrow. Up,
Yeah.
go up.
The left arrow, down at the bottom,
At the bottom.
Oh, yeah,
Look,
see, right there.
yeah,
See
there.
bottom?
the white arrow,
Bottom arrow.
I'm
down
gonna
to the
take
gray.
down in the
See
gray
where it says
bar.
36, there you go.
Down here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
click on that white arrow, the white arrow.
To
The left arrow.
Oh, well, yeah.
There.
Yeah,
It
it was.
gets you to 35, there you go.
That's getting to the very end.
Yeah, but just keep clicking till you get back where you were.
Okay. You're gonna see all these others. There we
There we
go.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. Okay, these are the others that she has, and this was one of the first ones that we've done like this, where they used the 4 seasons. And Jana Fulton had painted 2 of those before she moved back to Texas. And Angel called me and she said, I don't know what to do. You've already got them on the website because we have the pictures. And I said, well, let me see what we can figure out. And so I went out and I helped her. I said, you want to learn to paint these? And she said, well, I'd love to, but I don't know if I can. But I went out there and we spent the day and she painted these other 2. So she got all 4 of them on there. And you can see on the railing there on her porch, she will change them out each season. So. And that is the one that Bill Willett won. It really shows up well. It's in a perfect place.
Lisa also painted that.
Lisa painted
Yeah,
that?
Lisa painted that one too, yes. This is the one that, if you don't know, they sold the tickets on this for a raffle. And I don't know how many tickets you ended up selling, but you did pretty good, didn't you?
Yeah, we saw quite a lot. You know, it's gonna be down or not.
You did a great job on it, definitely.
And we just gave it away Saturday, and he came and got it, so that's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
and
Got it out of that way.
yeah. Now this is You know, the quilters here will know what UFO means, and the crafters, and unfinished objects. Well, we also have some UHOs, unhung objects. So this is where we're getting into the unhung objects. And I think this was as a result of one of the programs that was done here that they kind of, Jennifer, did you help me get in touch with the people at the parks, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I recognize the youth center.
Yeah.
At the youth
And
center.
they wanted to do this through their summer program with the youth, where the youth would actually paint the blocks. And they will have a block in each of the city parks here in Mountain Home. So they painted 5 of them. This all happened, it started out in the early part of the summer, but by the time we got it all together, the patterns picked out and everything done, it was like 2 weeks before school started when they needed to get them painted. That was at the same time that Jack and I ended up in Little Rock with him in the hospital. So I was supposed to be helping with this. I couldn't, so I called my good friend Wanda Kelly, who said, sure, I'll be there. And she did. And I think there was, at least 14, 18 kids that was there, each one painting a little bit on them. And I think it was kind of a madhouse, but she had a good time, and they did too. They were very proud of what they did, as you can tell there. That's the beginning, when they were first taking them off and starting to paint. And this is the end result.
Oh, wow, that's impressive.
There's actually 5. There's one down there at the bottom, you know, that you can barely see.
It's like they put them in the fair, they got blue ribbons.
And they did enter them in the fair. They all got blue ribbons on them, so. And since I wasn't there to help with it, I had volunteered to do these 2 for the parks also. And the Sunbonnet Sweethearts, the one on the left, will go in the children's park on Old Hickory Park. And then the dog will go at the dog park, of course. I couldn't think of a name for that. And if you've been to the dog park, you know that there's a small area for small dogs, area for small dogs, and an area for large dogs. And people were suggesting names, and nothing worked, and I kept having this run in my mind, big or small, we love them all. So that's what it is.
That's cute.
And this is actually here at the library. They had a painting day out in the front in the grass out there. Help me with the name, girls. Steve and Darlene Langer. They have designed this block for them. And as you can see, it's the library logo with the tree opening up like a book, and then the books on the side. That one's back here in a room, and it's just needed a little few touch-ups, I think was the last I heard, and they'll be ready to hang it before too long. So it's going to be hung out front somewhere.
You skipped ahead again, so go over there and back them up. Just keep clicking on that arrow, yeah. There you go.
I'm glad y'all know, I'm not technical at all, as you can tell. Okay, this is the one that will be at the Casey house, and I think I'm correct on the name, Cozy Cabin, is that correct? Was that what you had named it?
I don't know if we ever named it.
Or maybe that was,
Maybe we called it the Casey.
I don't know, anyway, I'll put that on the side. You can change the name if you want to, but that's what it will look like, that's the one that's gonna be at the Casey house.
It's cute, it's really, I see it every day when I'm out there, so it's really.
Yeah, it's really neat. And the one that will be at the other place at Buford, what is?
I think it's a
the
carpenter star.
It's a red,
It's a
white,
red, white, and blue.
red, white, and blue.
I
Okay,
think the pattern's called the carpenter star.
and this one, is special to me. I had the opportunity to attend a quilt retreat last week at a place at Cotter, and it's owned by Dave Hussey, and, this is Dave and his wife, Donna. This was actually, there were 7 of us there for the quilt retreat, and it was the second time that we've been there. They are absolutely wonderful hosts. It's a beautiful place, and we've already booked it again for the next one in February. But we wanted to show our appreciation to them on how great they had treated us. So we decided we would paint a quilt block for them, and they will put this up out there at their location. It's called Circle of Fish. And each one of us painted a little bit on it, so that way we've all got a hand on it. We totally surprised them with it. We invited them back for lunch on the last day that we were there and surprised them with it. Now this is our next project that we're working on, and we're going to be, we're in the process of trying to develop a White River Trail, which this all came about last year when I met a lady actually at the Quilt Congress who wanted to put a quilt block on her barn, but the barn faced the White River, and the house, they couldn't put it on the house. They wanted it on the barn, a great big one, like an 8-foot square, and wanted to know if we could find somebody that would paint it for us. She knew that she couldn't put it on the Baxter County Trail because our rules are it has to be able to be seen from a roadway. So we got to thinking about it, some of us, and one of the ladies that was there with me said that she had actually seen a couple of quilt blocks on the White River when they floated it. And I don't know where those are, I haven't found that yet. But we talked to Renee about it and asked if that would be a possibility to develop a White River Trail. It's totally different than anything else that we've done. I don't think it's been done in Arkansas, and maybe not anywhere, I don't know, you know. But we already have 5. This is the first one. Wanda Kelly did this one. She has had me come down a couple of times and visit with the community, the people that live there at Redbud, and they're all excited about it. Most of them have picked out 12 blocks. I think we already have 12 or at least 12 that have picked out their blocks, but they haven't all painted them yet. And we did have to have 12 to have an official trail.
So those will just be visible from the White River when they're.
Yeah, just as you float down, yeah. And some of the rules on this, that's gonna be a little bit different. They do have to be at least 4 by 4, a 4-foot square, because of the distance from the river. You know, we want to be sure that people can see them. The other thing is we will not give the residential addresses on these when we have them set up on the website, because we don't want people going to the homes, getting out of the car and walking around trying to find that quilt block behind the house. That's not fair to the property owners, you know, to do that. So they will just be given general locations, you know, like this is Redbud Shoals. Anybody that's floating White River will know where that is, or they'll be, you know, between certain access points, you know. This one is, again, at Redbud Shoals. This is Marilyn Allen. And this one is in the Denton Ferry area, so it's in a little bit different location. And Morning Star, that's at Redbud. And then Compass Rose is also at Redbud Shoals. So if you know anybody that is lives on the river or has a business on the river, even has vacant land on the river, it can be vacant land. You know, it can be an RV park, any type of establishment. But just, you know, we'd be glad to work with them. I'm going to be helping with it in Baxter and Marion County, but then once we get our 12 blocks, then we're going to try to work further down the river, but other people will be working with that. So we'll hopefully have some coordinators down there or somebody that can do that.
Will we be the first one that has a river block trail?
The first one that's ever, yeah, as far as we know, I don't know that, we haven't heard of any in the United States even, you know, so it could be, you know, quite different. So that is our story. And I have some handouts on the table. We have brochures, if anybody would like to pick up a brochure. One thing I forgot to mention, on the ones that the youth are doing at the youth center, they're going to have a QR code on each block, so that if someone is at the park and they look at that quilt block, they can scan the QR code and it'll take them directly into the website where they can read the story about it, but they can also find out where the other blocks are in Baxter County if they don't have access to a brochure. So, and the new booklet that we have, the brochure, has a QR code for each county, which is really neat. I also have a handout that explains what to do if you want to participate in a quilt trail, and you can pick one up. I'll just go over the guidelines real quick. You would select the pattern and you do submit it for approval to the county coordinator, and the reason for that is to keep from having duplicates in the same county. Now, we may have duplicates on the White River Trail that we have in Baxter County or Marion County, but that's totally different, you know. So, in fact, I know of one that probably will be. So, and then once approved, you can go ahead and proceed with the painting of your block. I've given you some good resources on this handout as far as this Barn Quilt headquarters is absolutely wonderful. And I have one of her books there if you'd like to look at it. If you need somebody to paint it for you, if you don't want to paint it yourself, we do have people that will do that also. You would also sign an owner's agreement, and I have one of those on the table that basically what you're saying is that you are the owner of the property, that you will keep it maintained, and that you will keep it up for at least 5 years, and that you understand that there will be more traffic to your property, so. And that's it. Anybody have any questions for me or Renee?
I have a question. What size do they have to be?
What size do they have to be? Well, to begin with, we had asked for 4x4 about 5 years ago. I think we were doing that, and we've changed on that. It depends on the location and what's suitable for that, because some would not accommodate a 4x4, but still be seen easily, you know. And then like the one set of 4 that I did for Remember Me Quilt Shop, you know, that was okay also because it was a grouping, you
How
know.
big are those?
Those are 1x1s, you know, so.
So if you're gonna walk up to it on a sidewalk, which
Yeah.
that would be,
Go ahead.
you know, you're that close, they can be smaller.
Right.
than-
But just mainly so that they can be seen, whether they're in the car or if they're going up. If it's a business on the square, you know, that would be a little different because people won't be driving by to see it, they'll be stopping and walking by, so.
So it would be 1x1, 2x2, 3x3.
Right.
I think the one at Heritage Center, I think it's 3x4.
Those are 4x4.
I think I seen one that was like 2x4 too, it was like a rectangle.
Well, they can be, yeah. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.